Ohio, the amazing INSiGHT scanning technology, and how it can help you understand your child's health like never before. So traditional medicine, it often focuses on treating symptoms, but we go way beyond that. With the INSiGHT scans, we assess the health and function of the central nervous system. The nervous system, for short, this system plays a crucial role in coordinating every aspect of the human experience, from internal body functions to thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It's like the air traffic control system for our entire body. So, what I want to go through, guys, is I want you to really understand that the nervous system is composed of three main divisions, as you can see here on the screen: the sensory, the autonomic, and the motor. They work together to ensure seamless communication between the brain and the rest of the body. But how does this relate to your child's struggles and symptoms? So, well, let's talk about the intuitive nature of moms. Many parents can predict where stress shows up in their child's body. But with the INSiGHT scans, we can accurately assess and find the root cause of health struggles. For instance, we once had a mom who couldn't believe how accurately the scans reflected her child's struggles. It's incredible how these scans can guide us towards understanding what's going on inside of the nervous system. Now, what I want to do is I'd like to delve deeper into the science and the steps involved in the INSiGHT scans. Number one, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into different aspects here so you have a much better understanding. There we go. Let's pull up this next page. All right. So guys, first let's understand the nervous system has this particular role that we need to really dive into. And we need to understand the difference between the way that the medical system evaluates things versus the way that we need to really be able to look at these things. So first, let's take a look at the current paradigm. Traditional medicine really and truly only focuses on diving into symptoms and pathology. And that's not obviously where we want to live at. We as chiropractors, we as parents, we want to have a better understanding of what is going on inside of our children's nervous system. So number two, we need to understand that the central nervous system, comprising the brain and the spinal cord, coordinates every single thing within us. Number three, the autonomic nervous system, which is a branch of the central nervous system, controls essential functions like eating and sleeping and more. The nervous system's sensory and motor nerves communicate information back and forth between the brain and the body. And these are really crucial roles that we all really need to understand so that we have the best ability to get the maximum out of what these scans are telling us. Now, let's go through and break these down here a little bit further. So when we think about things like the autonomic nervous system, right, it controls essential functions, eating, sleeping, and more. It's the key building blocks for our health. The nervous system's sensory system and motor nerves communicate information back and forth. So this is like the superhighway. This would be things like thinking of like a cell phone. It's the conversation between your brain and your body that is happening every single moment of your life. I want you to think of the neurospinal system here as a fuse box, coordinating the sensory and motor function. And number five, right, what we need to really be able to understand is that the INSiGHT scans here, they play this really crucial role in helping us to find, track, and understand these things called subluxations and dysautonomias. These are the communication points between the brain and the body. A subluxation is an interference point between the messages from the brain's internal systems. That can be from the organs, the glands, the cells, to the muscles, the joints, any of those things, to the body. And the dysautonomia is the dysregulation or inability of the brain and the central nervous system to be able to properly regulate itself. And this is where we start really having to understand the way that these scans can help us to have a better understanding of what's happening inside of the body. So let's talk about the different types of scans that we are working with, because this will help us to break down each one of these to have the best possible understanding. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pull up some examples here so you can take a look at these, because I think it's really critical when you start to understand the way that these scans present, what they tell us. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So the thermal scans here, what the thermal scanner does, very sciencey, but it takes a really deep look at the regulation of blood flow from the brain to the spinal cord's nerve roots. Now, what you need to understand is that when everything is working the way that it should, this is a very calm, very balanced pattern. There is very little activity. So it assesses the effects of subluxation and dysautonomia on various bodily systems like the digestive system, immune system, hormones, and so much more. A calm nervous system shows very little on these patterns. And this is crucial for us to understand this as parents, because when we're looking at these and we see symptoms that our children are presenting with, we want our children's pattern on these to look very calm. Because a calm nervous system, a balanced nervous system, a nervous system that is communicating very well, shows very little on any of the graphs. There are other graphs that we can bring into this, and I don't want to overcomplicate the situation from an analytical standpoint, but we can get granular, where we can see if the nervous system is able to recover the way that it's supposed to. Is it having proper distribution of blood flow in the right amount at the right temperature readings on these graphs? So we can get really granular into these if we so choose. But that's not really the point of this video. We want you to understand that this shows us the effect that if a subluxation pattern is present within the nervous system, interference within the nervous system, stress stuck on within the nervous system, we can see the effects very clearly on the thermal scan. And this overall gives us the best way that we can track from an assessment standpoint to start, and on a month-by-month basis, the changes that are happening in the nervous system once we have started in care. Next, what we'll do is we are going to dive into what is called the surface EMG. Now, the surface EMG stands for surface electromyography. But in essence, what this is the energy that is being put out from the small little muscles on the spinal column called proprioceptors that drive things like stability. They drive motor control. They also organize all of the information coming in from all of the sensory nerves that line the spinal cord that go to every aspect of our body. They look at the energy flowing from the body to the brain, and they help us understand neuromotor system challenges. Now, this is our most crucial scan when we start looking at things like tone. And if you're a parent, you've heard that my child has high tone, my child has low tone. Well, that's somewhat of an ethereal term. It's really difficult for someone to quantify tone unless you have a technology like this. When a child has high tone, what we tend to find is that the energy from top to bottom on these patterns is very high. If you can see this on your screen, you see things like energy index. The energy numbers on a child with true high tone are very high. They can be as high as 3, 4, 5, 6, 700. And we look at these and we say, okay, so this is incorrect energy, because the ideal range on this is a range that goes between 100 and 125. So one of the goals that we as the pediatric chiropractors working with your child is to start to lower that energy down towards normal, because it means that we are changing the input, what is going into your child's central and autonomic nervous system. Because ultimately, input to the brain determines output from the brain. So the calmer the input is to the brain, the calmer the output is, or the more balanced, or the more well-regulated, or the more adaptable that it is. Next, you see the numbers on there that show pattern and symmetry. Well, equal input is really critical. If the pattern and the symmetry of the input to the brain are off, then the brain is having a hard time interpreting the sensory environment. So if you have a child that has sensory challenges, this becomes a big issue. Because the lower these pattern and symmetry numbers are, we also know that this strongly correlates to greater issues with the ability to organize and focus and concentrate and regulate our sensory system. And that can be internal systems like our internal organs, but also regulating where we are in space. And it also correlates very strongly to a need to do a lot of proprioceptive seeking, or kids that have a lot of overflow movements and stimming movements and a constant need to be in motion. Because a nervous system that is not calm, as a byproduct, will need more motion. It will need more energy. It will need more stimulus for their brains to feel calm. So if you have a child that is a heavy stimmer, this is exactly what they are getting, is high energy and probably lots of disorganization. Now let's take a look at this next test, which is called a heart rate variability. Now these are a much broader picture, but I will tell you that when you look at these tell us a tremendous amount about the overall health of your child's nervous system, or yours for that matter, moms and dads. And so what they do is they tell us, do we have imbalances in the fight or flight and rest and digest systems? And in kids, if you look at these ranges on here, you see on the graphs, the green range is where every child ideally should be, you and I as well. When you get into those rings, they are standard deviation, but you can take them as, yellow being mild, the pinkish color being moderate, and the dark red is being severe. So if we know that we want our children to be in the center of the green zone, that also tells us is their nervous system in a state of calm. So we're setting the stage for the optimal situation for neural development. A nervous system that is locked into stress mode will also be a nervous system that is struggling to coordinate and organize and adapt to the stressors of life. So we put high targets on these to get these graphs within the center zone and train it to stay there. And this is a really big piece of the equation because moms and dads, if you have a child that is struggling, right, we know that there are all these symptoms that we see, but oftentimes you're guessing on what to do, right? We probably try diet, we try looking at all these different nutritionals and supplements and therapies, and oftentimes find there may be limited value. Well, if you don't have this kind of data, then in a lot of ways you are guessing because the brain is the ultimate regulator of all the systems. So if the brain isn't healthy, the nervous system isn't healthy, then many things will be ineffective until we start addressing this. That's why when we go through and evaluate the neuroscans with all of the kids that we take care of, this becomes the core central piece of how we manage things. Because as your child's doctor, we simply can't guess. We have to have data that tells us, are we getting the right starting point? Are we getting the right data? Are we driving the right type of care plan to help your child overcome their challenges? So when we look at these types of data points, what they allow us to do is get a complete 360-degree picture of where your child starts. And listen, moms and dads, it doesn't matter what a child's age is because we do scans from birth all the way through adulthood. It doesn't matter. The earlier, obviously, that we can start, the faster the pace of change is. But even if you have an older child that's struggling, there's still so much that can be done once we gather data and then create plans on how we're going to step and help these children. Because, we have older adults that get these scans and make tremendous changes, and we get younger kids that get these scans and get tremendous changes. So it's just important that we get the right data points so we know what we need to do to help their nervous system to get calm as fast as possible, but not just get there and how to stay there, because we need a tool then that tells us if the nervous system is beginning to get off track as they go through the different stressors that they're going to be exposed to during the course of their life. Now, moms and dads, I know that we went pretty deep into the aspects of scanning. So what I want you to understand is that this is really, really great data for us, but it's maybe a little bit complicated if this is the first time that you've heard this. So I'm going to pop up a QR code for you here onto the screen, and let me pop out of the presentation here so we can just chat for a moment. So moms and dads, when you're looking here, feel free to take this QR code and scan it. And this QR code will take you to a more in-depth article that gets into the specific aspects of how scans work for your child or for yourself. It is an incredible piece of technology. It is something that as a parent, when we did this for our children, for my daughter in particular, is how we got into this, it was eye-opening. And I can tell you firsthand that the very first time that I saw my daughter's scans when she was going through some pretty major struggles, it really and truly changed the game. Because up until that point in time, everything that we had done had been a guess. We didn't understand the perfect storm that her nervous system had been going through because we had no way to quantify what was coming into her brain. And when we pulled her scans for the very first time, there's this whole parental guilt thing that we as doctors feel when our kids are going through struggles because we tried so many things over the course of a 5-year span to help our little girl. But when we saw the scans for the first time, it was clear. I finally knew what was going on, why her nervous system was so stressed, why she was going through the behavioral and emotional struggles that she was. And then we were able to formulate a plan on how to help her. How often did we need to adjust? How long did we need to do this plan for? And then we had tools to track it. And what was great is that we were able to see subjective changes by doing things the right way and objective changes, which told us that her nervous system was making the type of changes that it needed to be able to be at her best. So feel free to take a look at this article. I think it would be great. It'll give you some great data points here that you can look into, get more information about these scans. And on that same website, there are also some great case studies that you can look at as well. So if you'd like to get more information too, you can also go to our website, which is elitefamilychiros.com. And feel free, there's lots of great resources on there. Our Facebook page, you can see down below, facebook.com/elitefamilychiros. Also has a lot of great resources and lots of great case studies that you can look at as well. If you are interested in learning more about this topic, we also have a podcast that will be coming out about the same time as this video, and you can follow us at Growing Healthy Families, the Growing Healthy Families podcast at the QR code there. And you can find us on all the major podcast players. We are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, anywhere you listen to your podcast, we are there. And myself and my wife, Dr. Lena, we are diving deep into these topics all the time with tremendous depth so that you can understand all of the different challenges that your child is going through and get real solutions to help your child overcome these. So guys, I hope this gave you value. If it did, I have an ask for you. Please share this video with the people that you care about. If you have a loved one that is struggling, make sure that you share this information with them so that they can hear this message, so they can know what tools are available to get the information to help their child. If this is something that you also got value from, wherever you're watching this video, please give us a like, give us a comment. If you'd like to learn more, we would love to get your feedback. If there's things you'd like us to dive deeper into as well, please also feel free to leave that in the comment section, whether you're watching us here on Facebook or YouTube, wherever this might be, because our goal ultimately with creating all of this content is to serve you. So we would love to make sure that we are giving you the content that you need so you have the resources to help your child the best way possible. And last but not least, go to our website, elitefamilychiros.com, to get more information. And if you are interested in talking to one of our team about how to help your child, just feel free to contact us either via email, and we can set up a time for a consultation, or you can call our office at 440-230-2300 to set up a consultation with one of our team members to talk about your child's health struggles. If you are not in the Cleveland area, but you are looking for a provider, then you can also go to pxdocs.com. We are members of this amazing organization of neurologically focused pediatric chiropractors that are certified to help children with all manner of neurodevelopmental struggles. And I can tell you the training is phenomenal. The teams of doctors that are out there are top-notch. So if you're looking for resources for your child to help them to overcome their challenges wherever they are, feel free to reach out to one of the sources we gave. Again, pxdocs.com if you're outside of Cleveland. EliteFamilyChiros.com is our website, and we would love to help you and help your family so that your child can live their best life. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time.